In this pod-slice summary of the Club Random podcast, host Bill Maher is in conversation with the guest Mayim Bialik. They begin with a lighthearted discussion about the show's set design element, reminiscing about the 90s and the disconnect of generations. Maher comments on how common knowledge, previously standard, seems to have become specialized, a thought that Bialik echoes, linking it to their conversation about shows like Jeopardy, painting the idea that it appeals to those still invested in knowing things. Discussing their personal experiences with Jeopardy, Maher and Bialik both candidly admit to struggling with the timed question-answer format. Bialik adds that her expertise in certain areas doesn't guarantee success in Jeopardy, especially with questions on topics like 18th century British poets, to which Maher challenges her with an abrupt trivia quiz, reinforcing their earlier point about how the game show can easily trip up even those who know things. The conversation then evolves towards Bialik's perception of news and information consumption. She employs a team to filter news, enabling her to stay informed without being overwhelmed by the constant flood of information. When they discuss the news of Joe Biden running again and the passing of Harry Belafonte, Maher supplements with a statistic about reaching the age of 40, suggesting that it warrants a change in perspective on life, an idea that Bialik finds intriguing. Mid-chat, they jest about Biden's less favorable traits caught in the media's eye. Maher defends Biden, putting it down to his overly empathetic nature. This leads to a discussion about maintaining appropriate distance, with the example of actor Keanu Reeves, who is known for his hover hand approach in pictures with women, a safer, more respectful stance, they agree. Wrapping the discussion, the talk turns nostalgic as both Maher and Bialik recall the 1984 movie Splash fondly, indicating the age difference between them, layered with the humor of their own memories associated with the film. The discussion on the Club Random podcast between host Bill Maher and guest Mayim Bialik reflects on some classic movies and their relevancy for today's generation. They exhibit curiosity about how Bialik's kids perceive old hits like Star Wars and admit that not many elements from their time are perceived as cool by today's youngsters. Bialik explains she shares a plethora of movies with her kids, including the moving film Life is Beautiful by Roberto Benigni. This movie choice spurred difficult yet insightful conversations about the Holocaust and the limits of humor. Bialik also reveals her children's affinity for satirical humor and stand-up comedy. Maher and Bialik exchange thoughts regarding the perception of the animated movie The Little Mermaid in today's society. Both agree something becomes disturbingly evident on rewatching the movie as adults. The mermaid Ariel effectively gives up her voice for a man, which seemingly opposes feminist ideals. Jokingly, they brainstorm a hypothetical sequel where Ariel becomes empowered, checking numerous social activism boxes along the way. Weaving in aspects of parenting and societal norms into the discussion, Bialik conveys her unconventional approach in comparison to most parents today. She believes in creating an environment where children are allowed to question and challenge ideals, instead of impulsively accepting or rejecting them. She asserts that not agreeing with everything someone says doesn't label them as bad or wrong. As a homeschooling parent until recently, Bialik discussed her ability to influence what her children were learning, eschewing mass schooling systems in favor of small groups where she had more control over their social interactions and educational content. Amid sporadic bouts of humor and earnest discussions on education, Maher managed to engage the audience and tie in the narrative of his interests and perspectives, keeping the conversation relatable. Bialik's insights painted a picture of her role as a mother, scholar, and prominent figure in the entertainment industry while maintaining an engaging conversation with Maher and making strong points about popular culture. The conversation then steers towards Bialik's parenting philosophy and her children's exposure to significant political occurrences such as the Trump administration. This part of their lives brought pertinent discussions in her household, allowing her kids to question the prevailing thought system. The duo observes understanding opposing views and accepting the possibility of being wrong as necessary parts of learning, which seems to be a challenging task for kids today. The mention of Trump unravels conversations around the formation of judgments, exploring the rapid dissemination of information via internet, leading to an inflated sense of entitlement and arrogant behavior. Bialik, a scientist herself, emphasizes the misconceptions that occur when people rely on Google for scientific information, underlining the importance of research and understanding. They navigate through a series of contemporary issues, from the treatment towards COVID to the societal effects of lockdowns. The discussion brushes on gun violence, indicating its potential correlation with enforced isolation during the pandemic. The conversation then focuses on Bialik's decision to homeschool her kids, with Bialik sharing her approach of using homeschool centers for a more intimate learning setting. The dialogue smoothly transitions into Maher's humorous offer of becoming a father figure for Bialik's kids, with a focus on cultural education through movies like Midnight Cowboy. It is revealed that Bialik has not only acted in films, but has taken up directorial roles as well. In her directorial debut, As They Made Us, she had the opportunity to work with illustrious actors like Dustin Hoffman and Candice Bergen. Talking about working with Dustin Hoffman, Bialik touches upon her own insecurities as a first-time director, and yet she describes it as a masterclass full of learning and introspection. She describes how Hoffman was keen to understand the nuances of her script, her personal life experiences, and was open to be directed. The conversation concludes on a contemplative note, reflecting on the transition of actors from leading roles to character actors, linking longevity in Hollywood to the ability to evolve with age. Engaging in a candid discussion, the conversation expands into the realm of marriage and its complexities. Reflecting on the convention of marriage, the podcast explores the socio-cultural changes over the years, unraveling the occasionally burdensome realities of long-term companionship. The duo considers the transformative dimensions, even hazards of cohabitation, and how living together might impact a relationship's longevity. In their exploration of matrimonial ties, they touch upon the distinct phases of a conjugal relationship. For some, initial years might be clouded by passionate affection, but it might dwindle over time, eventually turning into a humdrum routine. This concept is brought to life with a humorous anecdote about a book called The Divine Tedium of Marriage, which portrays an almost spiteful depiction of married life interspersed with sporadic moments of appreciation. Famous personalities and their relationships make their way into the dialogue, examining how some prominent couples seem to enjoy a girlfriend-boyfriend vibe rather than a more traditional husband-wife dynamic. They discuss how such approach might play a role in preserving the lively, romantic nature of a relationship. Drifting towards the idea of divorce, the conversation adopts an unconventional approach, insinuating that divorce may not necessarily symbolize the ultimate marital failure. The duo entertains the possibility that it might indicate a new beginning. A divorce signals the conclusion of a relationship plagued by problems and hence could be viewed as a liberating experience, enhancing personal growth. Punctuating the dialogue with a gentle humor, they share the worn-out joke, "Why is divorce so expensive? It's worth it." In light of this, the dialogue challenges traditional ideals of relationships, reinforcing that changing or ending relationships should not be perceived as failure, but as evolution. Yet, harking back to their own parents' relationships, they also acknowledge those unique instances of couples who navigate life's changes harmoniously together. Thus, they present a nuanced understanding of marriage, full of ebb, flow, and change. As the conversation between Bill Maher and Mayim Bialik evolves, they delve deeper into the discussions of marriage and relationships, infusing the dialogue with more personal experiences and anecdotes, making the subject matter relatable to the audience. Mayim recalls the love between her parents and how, even in their latter years, an effervescent spark remained, as if they were still newlyweds, despite the complexities of their relationship. Their relationship, with his love notes inscribed in every fifth book of his library she inherited, is testament to their enduring love. It's this kind of romance that Mayim believes perpetuates the ideal of matrimonial bliss, leading many into a pursuit of that elusive perfect companionship. The conversation takes a slightly humorous turn when Maher mentions an analogy describing marriage as a sibling-like relationship punctuated by occasional romantic interludes, a concept both admit to having heard before. It presents an often unspoken perspective about marriage, emphasizing on the value of friendship and shared life experiences over romance alone. The duo also touches upon the subject of divorce from their personal experiences. From being a child having to witness her parents' divorce to experiencing her own, Mayim admits that the process involved a period of grieving, yet she emerged stronger, reinforcing the idea that divorce can lead to personal growth. Their dialogue also reflects on their ideological differences and the importance of engaging in civil discourse despite them. Mayim appreciates Maher for his bravery and admits to disagreeing with him a lot, yet states her eagerness to learn and understand his perspectives. Both agree on the idea that disagreements are healthy and essential for personal and societal evolution, ensuring a diverse, well-rounded viewpoint on things. The conversation thus progresses from discussing general perceptions about marriage and divorce to encompassing personal experiences and perspectives, interspersed with bouts of humor and moments of contemplation. It offers insights into the reality of relationships and presents a valuable discourse on ideological differences in dialogue. Check out the full podcast by clicking the link in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for listening to this podcast summary episode of The Pod Slice.